Captain Daniel Brooks sat quietly in the chair of the Terran ship Horizon. He looked at the wide view of the stars beyond the window. For most of his life, the dream of reaching the stars had been something far away, something for stories and books. Now it was real. Humanity had built faster ships, stronger engines, and finally, they had crossed into deep space. And now at last, they had made first contact with the Galactic Council. Daniel was not alone. Laura Mitchell, the lead diplomat chosen by Earth, sat beside him. She looked calm, but Daniel knew she was hiding the same mix of fear and wonder that he felt. Around them, officers moved carefully, keeping their eyes on the instruments. This was no ordinary mission. This was the day when Earth stepped forward into the galaxy. When the message first came, the Council had sent it with care. It was a simple greeting, welcoming humanity into the wider family of civilizations. The words had been polite and full of promise. Daniel had been chosen to lead the mission because of his steady nature. Laura had been chosen because of her skill in speaking and finding peace. They were the perfect pair to represent Earth. The ship moved into orbit near a shining world that served as the Council's capital. It was called Vera, a planet covered in silver oceans and high spires that reached into the clouds. Ships from dozens of species moved through the skies above it, each one showing the style and power of their people. The sight made Daniel's heart beat faster. He whispered quietly, almost to himself, "We are not alone." Laura heard him and gave a soft smile. "No, we are not, and today they will see us as friends." The Council had prepared a great welcome. The Horizon landed on a wide platform of white stone. The air was clear, the sky a pale blue. As the humans stepped out, they were met by creatures of many shapes and sizes. Some were tall with shining scales, others short with wide eyes. They greeted Daniel and Laura with warm voices and gestures. None of them seemed hostile. The Council had decided to show kindness to the newcomers. Inside the Council hall, the air was full of voices. The chamber was round, with seats rising high into the air. Each seat belonged to a species of the Council, and today every one of them was watching. At the center stood Daniel and Laura. It was a moment that would be remembered for centuries. Laura spoke first. She spoke in slow and clear words, her voice steady. She told the Council about Earth, about the long struggle of humanity to rise from war and pain into peace and unity. She told them about the dream of reaching the stars, and how humanity did not come to take or to conquer, but to learn and to share. Her words were simple, but they carried truth. The Council listened. Some nodded, others stayed silent. A tall being with silver skin spoke in reply. His voice was deep and calm. "We welcome the children of Earth into the circle of stars. May your path bring peace and wisdom." Daniel stepped forward. He was not as skilled with words as Laura, but his voice carried strength. "We come with open hands. We ask only friendship and the chance to grow alongside you." The chamber filled with soft sounds of agreement. The Council had seen many young species before. Some had come with pride, others with fear. Humanity came with humility, and that made them easy to accept. The Council did not see them as a threat. They saw them as harmless newcomers, eager but weak. After the speeches, the humans were led to banquets and gatherings. Food from across the galaxy was placed before them. Laura tasted dishes that shimmered like light, while Daniel tried a drink that tasted of fire and honey. The aliens laughed gently at their surprise, and the mood was light. To the Council, this was the start of another safe friendship. But even as Daniel smiled and greeted new allies, he could feel a weight in his heart. The aliens looked at humanity with warmth, yes, but also with a kind of dismissal. He could see it in their eyes. To them, Earth was just another small world, another young race. They did not understand what humans had endured or how far they had come. They did not see the strength behind the smiles. Later, when the day was done and the banquets were over, Daniel stood at the window of the guest quarters the Council had given them. Laura joined him, her voice soft. "It went well. They like us." "That is good," Daniel nodded slowly. "Yes, it went well. But did you notice? They do not take us seriously." Laura sighed. "That will change in time. For now, peace is enough." Daniel looked out at the stars again. He wanted to believe her. He wanted to believe that peace would be enough. But deep down he knew the galaxy was not as gentle as it seemed. And humanity, though young, was ready for more than just peace. Far away beyond the sight of the Council, hidden in the dark of space, other ships waited. They did not appear in the grand welcome. They did not show themselves at the banquet. They were the other side of humanity, the side prepared for danger. But for now, they stayed silent. For now, humanity wore only the mask of peace. The first contact had been made. It was peaceful, it was warm, and it was hopeful. But beneath it all, a quiet storm was waiting. And though the council laughed kindly at the new humans, they did not know what was hidden behind the smiles of Earth's children. Daniel closed his eyes, and the stars shone bright. The future of humanity had begun. Commander Jason Carter sat at the long table in the human quarters on Vera. The chamber was filled with a low light that came from glowing stones in the walls. He had been listening for hours to the voices of the council during their meetings. Now he leaned back and rubbed his tired eyes. The aliens spoke in circles with smiles on their faces, but he had begun to understand what they truly meant. They were polite, but under the politeness there was something else. They did not fear humans. They did not even truly respect them. They spoke as if humans were small children who would one day be useful, but only if guided. Laura Mitchell sat near him, her hands folded on the table. She had been silent for most of the evening, lost in her own thoughts. Finally, she spoke in a soft voice. They look at us with kindness, but not as equals. Do you see it, Jason? Jason nodded slowly. I do. They smile at us, but behind it they are planning. I heard the Draelith delegate today. He spoke of limiting which worlds we may travel to. He called it protection, but it sounded like control. Daniel Brooks joined them, his face calm, though his eyes showed worry. He sat down heavily as if the weight of what he had seen pressed against him. I felt it too. They welcomed us, but at the same time they began to close doors. They do not want us to grow strong. They want us weak, easy to handle. The three of them sat in silence for a long while. Outside the window, the lights of the alien city glowed bright. Ships rose into the sky like shooting stars, leaving long white trails behind. It was beautiful, but the beauty felt hollow now that they knew the truth behind the smiles. The next day, the humans returned to the council chamber. The great hall was alive with voices once again. Delegates spoke in different tongues. Their words carried through small devices that gave each listener the meaning in their own language. Laura stood tall and listened carefully. Jason wrote notes on a small pad, recording every word that might matter later. One delegate, a member of the VER, spoke with pride. His body shimmered like glass and his voice carried a cold edge. The humans are welcome here, but we must guide them carefully. They should not be given free access to council maps. They should not be given rights to distant colonies. Their world is small, their people young. We must protect them from dangers they do not understand. Another delegate, tall and covered in green feathers, nodded in agreement. Yes, let them stay near their home. It is safer for them. If they wander too far, they may stumble into trouble, and then we must clean their mistakes. Daniel felt the anger rise in his chest. He looked to Laura, but she raised her hand slightly, a silent sign to remain calm. She knew that speaking too soon would only prove the aliens right, that humans were not ready. So they waited, listening as one after another, the council members spoke of humanity as if they were fragile glass. Later, outside the hall, Daniel could not contain himself. They speak of us like pets. Do they think we do not hear the truth in their words? Laura placed her hand gently on his arm. They underestimate us. That can be used. For now, let them think we are small. We must learn more before we act. Jason, however, was less calm. His eyes were hard and his voice firm. We are soldiers, Daniel. We know what is behind their words. They are afraid of us growing too quickly. They want us trapped in our system. They want us watched. That is not friendship. That is control. Days turned into weeks. The humans continued to attend meetings, banquets, and councils. On the surface, peace grew, but under the surface, tension built. Jason noticed the way some delegates whispered to each other when humans entered the chamber. Laura noticed the way certain laws and rules were suggested, laws that would make it hard for humans to build colonies or send fleets far from Earth. Each small rule looked harmless on its own. But together they formed chains. One evening, Laura left the chamber early. She walked through the long stone halls of the council palace, her steps soft against the floor. As she turned a corner, she heard voices. She stopped and listened. Two delegates stood in the shadows. Their words were low but clear. Earth must not be allowed to spread, one said. If they are left free, they may rise too quickly. We have seen this before with others. They must be kept in check. Yes, the other replied. Already their minds are sharp. They learn faster than we thought. We must move now before they demand more. Laura's heart beat fast. She stepped back quietly, her hands trembling. She hurried down the hall and returned to the human quarters. When she entered, Jason and Daniel saw her pale face. What happened? Daniel asked at once. I heard them, Laura whispered. They are planning, not only to limit us, but to keep us weak. They fear what we might become. Jason stood quickly, his hand closing into a fist. Then it is true. They are smiling in front of us, but behind our backs they prepare to cage us. Daniel's face darkened. He had hoped that Laura's fears and his own doubts were only shadows of the mind. But now it was clear. The Council was not only underestimating them, they were plotting to hold humanity down. That night, the humans gathered in private. The room was quiet, the lights dim. Jason spread his notes across the table, filled with records of every speech, every whisper he had noticed. Laura told them again what she had heard in the halls. Daniel listened carefully, his hand pressed against his chin. We cannot act yet, Daniel said at last. If we show anger now, they will strike faster. But we must prepare. We must send word home. Earth must know the truth, Jason nodded. I will send coded reports quietly, no one will notice. Our fleets must be ready. If they think us weak, let them. But Earth must stand strong. Laura lowered her head, her voice heavy. I wanted peace. I still do. But it seems the galaxy is not built on peace. It is built on power. And if we wish to survive, we must show them that we are not as weak as they believe. The three sat in silence, the truth hanging heavy in the room. Outside the window, the stars shone bright and distant. The city below was alive with alien lights, a symbol of the Council's power. But far beyond that city, beyond even the Council's reach, Earth's own fleets moved quietly in the dark. They had not been shown, not yet. Humanity had worn the mask of peace. But Jason knew that a day would come when the mask would fall, and the galaxy would see the other side of Earth. For now, the Council continued to speak with smiles. For now, humanity played the role of the harmless guest, but deep inside, all three humans understood the truth. Peace was already beginning to crack, and soon the galaxy would learn who they had truly welcomed into their halls. Weeks passed on Vera, and the humans continued their work among the Council. Captain Daniel Brooks, Commander Jason Carter, and diplomat Laura Mitchell had begun to notice changes. The Council's greetings were polite, but there was tension in their eyes. Some delegates whispered in corners and glanced at the humans with concern. Humanity's presence was no longer seen as harmless curiosity. They had become a subject of careful attention. Then the incident happened. A human science outpost on the edge of Council space sent a distress signal. Reports came quickly to Vera. The outpost had been attacked. Raiders destroyed the equipment and many humans were killed, including some young researchers. Among them were children. The message was clear. Someone wanted to hurt humanity and they were not afraid of causing fear. Daniel and Jason immediately gathered with Laura in the human quarters. We need to know who did this, Jason said, his voice tight with anger. It was too precise to be random. They knew we would respond slowly. Laura sat quietly, her face pale. The Council knows. I can feel it. They will not act. They will call it an accident or a minor mistake. They do not value human lives enough to investigate properly. Daniel ran a hand over his face, frustrated. We cannot just sit and wait. We need to protect our people. But if we move too soon, the Council will see it as aggression. As the human leaders debated, reports came in from Council meetings. The delegates' reactions were calm on the surface, but behind closed doors, there was no urgency to help. Some even suggested that humanity had brought trouble on themselves. Their words were cold. To the Council, human lives seemed insignificant. They had underestimated humanity's response. They thought humans would cower, accept the loss, and continue to play the role of peaceful guests. Jason's eyes burned with anger. They will regret this. They think we are weak. They think our peace is submission. They are wrong. Daniel placed a hand on his shoulder. We have to be careful. We cannot show our full strength yet. But we can prepare. We must be ready for what comes next. Laura's voice trembled slightly as she spoke. They see us as children. But children can grow. And when they do, even the strongest empire must notice. The days after the attack were tense. The humans increased security around their delegates, and the fleets near Earth were quietly mobilized. Communications between Earth and Vera were coded. keeping the Council unaware of the true readiness of humanity's military forces. The young human diplomats continued their work, smiling and speaking politely, but beneath their calm exterior, preparations for retaliation and defense were underway. One evening, Daniel and Jason met in a quiet observation room. They looked out at the stars where small glimmers of distant fleets could be seen. "They do not realize," Daniel said softly. "They think we have no power, that our fleets are small and slow. They have no idea what Earth has prepared." Jason nodded. "It is a mistake they will pay for. But not yet. Not until we are ready. We must be patient." Meanwhile, Laura worked to gather intelligence. She visited the corridors of the Council Palace, spoke with servants and lesser delegates, and listened for whispers. She learned of plans to restrict humanity, to place sanctions on Earth's access to certain systems, and even to limit the growth of colonies. Every discovery confirmed what they already suspected. The Council intended to hold humanity down. Despite the danger, the humans maintained the appearance of peace. They smiled at delegates, attended banquets, and spoke kindly in meetings. To the Council, humanity seemed unaware of the subtle plots against them. They were polite and patient, which only encouraged the Council to underestimate them further. But behind the smiles, preparation continued. Daniel oversaw training exercises for humans stationed on Vera, while Jason coordinated security measures and strategic planning. Laura coordinated intelligence gathering, ensuring that every bit of knowledge gained about the Council's plans was safely sent to Earth. Then came the report that would change everything. A second attack had been planned on a remote colony. The humans intercepted the communication just in time. The attackers, supported secretly by rival species within the Council, intended to strike at humanity's fledgling settlements. If successful, it could have caused massive casualties and shaken Earth's confidence in the Council's ability to protect them. Daniel gathered his officers. "This is not an accident. This is a warning. They are testing us. They want to see how we respond." Jason's face was hard. "Then they will see the truth. They will see that humanity does not bend to threats, but we act carefully. We do not give them a reason to strike first," Laura spoke, her voice steady. "They do not realize what humanity is capable of. They think we are peaceful, that we are weak. They are wrong. We will show them, but not yet. First, we must prepare. First, we must be ready for every possibility." The humans worked tirelessly, coordinating across light years of space. Coded messages flew between Earth and the Terran fleets. Every detail of the Council's plans was examined and counterplans were devised. They moved quietly, invisible to the eyes of the Council, who believed humanity was still inexperienced and gentle. As the weeks passed, tension in the Council grew. Delegates whispered about Earth, about the humans, but none could predict what was to come. Humanity, patient and calm on the surface, was quietly preparing to reveal a power the galaxy had never seen before. One night, Daniel, Jason, and Laura stood together, looking out at the distant stars. The silence between them was heavy with understanding. Daniel finally spoke. "They have made a mistake. They think we are weak. They do not know how far we have come." Jason's voice was firm. "They will learn. Soon they will learn." Laura placed her hand on Daniel's arm. "For now we wait. For now we maintain peace. But the day is coming when they will see humanity as it truly is. And when that day comes, the galaxy will not forget." The stars shone quietly above them, distant and unchanging, but humanity's resolve burned bright, hidden from view, preparing for the moment when patience would end and the truth of Earth's strength would be revealed. The weeks of preparation had passed and humanity was ready. Captain Daniel Brooks, Commander Jason Carter, and diplomat Laura Mitchell gathered with their officers in a secure room aboard the Horizon. The Council still believed humans were weak and inexperienced, unaware of the true strength that Earth had quietly built over decades. Daniel addressed the team, his voice calm but firm. "They think we are small, harmless. They do not see the fleets hidden in the dark, the ships waiting quietly in our systems. They have underestimated us for too long." Jason nodded. "It is time to show them that our patience is not weakness. The attacks on our outposts and colonies were mistakes they will regret. They believed we would cower. They were wrong." Laura spoke, her tone steady. "We must act carefully. Our goal is not to conquer, but to protect humanity. We reveal our strength to prevent further attacks. This is a warning they cannot ignore." The human fleets, long hidden behind decloaking technology, began to move. Ships of all sizes, from small fighters to massive carriers, took positions in strategic locations across Council space. Their engines were silent, their presence invisible to ordinary sensors. Only the humans knew they were there, ready for the moment when the mask of peace would fall. Back in the Council chamber, delegates were busy with meetings. They discussed trade, technology exchanges, and the small restrictions they intended to place on humanity. None of them suspected the full extent of the Terran fleets hidden across the galaxy. To them, humans were still children in a cosmic playground. Then the first signs appeared. Out of the dark void of space, Terran ships began to decloak in strategic points. The Council's sensors could not hide it. The fleets appeared suddenly, silent and precise. Daniel watched from the command room, his heart steady. Jason stood beside him, eyes scanning the displays. Laura's fingers hovered over communication consoles, ready to speak when needed. The first reaction from the Council was confusion. Ships that were supposed to be hidden were now visible, their numbers vast, their positions perfect. The Vare delegate, who had spoken of keeping humans close, stared in disbelief. Other delegates rose from their seats, their faces pale. They had never seen a fleet so well coordinated, so ready. For the first time, they realized that humanity had not come into the galaxy unprepared. Admiral Rachel Morgan, commanding the lead Terran fleet, spoke through the communication channels, her voice calm but firm. "We are not here to attack, but to protect. Humanity seeks peace, but we will not allow further harm to our people. Our strength is now visible. Let this be a warning. Any attack on Earth or its colonies will be met with immediate response." A silence fell over the Council chamber. The delegates could not respond immediately. Their faces showed a mix of fear, disbelief, and shame. They had laughed at humans, dismissed them as weak, and now they saw the truth. Humanity's patience had not been weakness. It had been preparation. Daniel and Laura watched carefully. Their mission had always been to seek peace, and it was still their goal. But they now had the power to enforce that peace. The fleets moved with precision, surrounding key systems without aggression. The message was clear. Humanity was strong, and any further threat would be met with decisive action. In private rooms, delegates whispered frantically. Plans to restrict Earth's growth were abandoned, replaced by hurried strategies to negotiate and understand the humans. Some even suggested forming alliances with Earth, now that they realized how formidable the Terran fleets were. Jason stood beside Daniel, watching the Council react. They finally understand. They see what they underestimated. This is just the beginning. They will think twice before threatening us again. Laura's voice was calm but firm. "We have shown restraint. That is important. Our fleets are strong, but we do not strike. We only defend. The galaxy must understand that humans seek peace, but if provoked, our response will be unmatched." As the hours passed, the Council slowly composed themselves. Delegates came forward to request communication, to apologize for past underestimations, and to negotiate new terms. Humanity, represented by Daniel and Laura, responded with patience and calm. They listened, answered questions, and offered guidance. The message was clear. Earth sought cooperation, but the cost of aggression would now be visible to all. Far from the Council, in hidden corridors of space, the Terran fleets remained on alert. Ships maintained their positions, prepared for any sudden movement. The galaxy had learned a lesson. Humans were not just curious and peaceful, they were capable, prepared, and determined to protect their own. Daniel, Jason, and Laura gathered once more, standing in the observation room of the horizon. The stars stretched endlessly before them, distant and quiet, yet humanity's resolve shone brightly, a beacon of strength and determination. Daniel spoke softly. "We wanted peace, and we still do, but the Council now understands that peace must be respected." Jason's voice was firm. "We showed them who we are. That lesson will not be forgotten." Laura looked out at the stars, her eyes steady. "The galaxy has seen humanity's patience and its strength. From now on, we are no longer the ones underestimated. The Council and every species watching knows that humans will protect themselves and their own." The stars shone silently, unaware of the tension and fear that now spread through the Council. Humanity had revealed its true side without shedding unnecessary blood. They had shown that patience was not weakness, and that strength, when hidden and disciplined, could command respect across the galaxy. And so, The galaxy waited, learning that the humans were no longer simply guests in the cosmic stage. They were a power that demanded attention, a civilization that would protect itself, and a people whose will could not be ignored. The first contact that had begun in peace had now become a turning point. Humanity's patience had ended, and the galaxy knew that the children of Earth were not to be underestimated. The galaxy was quiet for a moment, but that quiet was filled with tension. Captain Daniel Brooks, Commander Jason Carter, and diplomat Laura Mitchell stood together aboard the Horizon. Their faces were calm, but their eyes showed the weight of what had been achieved. Humanity had revealed its power, but had done so without unnecessary violence. The Council now understood that humans were strong, capable, and determined. Messages arrived from every corner of the galaxy. Delegates who had once spoken of restrictions now asked to meet. Representatives who had laughed at Earth's weakness now offered apologies, suggestions, and negotiations. The Council was learning a lesson that it had underestimated a people who had long been underestimated. Daniel addressed his officers and the human delegates. "We have shown restraint. We have shown that humans seek peace, but also that we will defend our own. The galaxy now knows our message. It is simple: respect humanity and peace will last. Threaten humanity and the cost will be high." Jason stood beside him, eyes scanning the reports coming in. They are beginning to understand. Some still try to hide it, but the truth is clear. Humans are no longer weak. The Terran fleets are ready, and Earth's resolve is unmatched. Laura spoke, her voice steady. "Our diplomacy now carries weight. We have gained respect without shedding blood. That is a power that many civilizations have forgotten. We can now shape the future, protect our people, and ensure that peace lasts because it is backed by strength." In the council chambers, delegates crowded together, speaking in hushed tones. The Dralith, who had once sought to limit humanity, now asked to meet with Daniel and Laura. The Vare, who had spoken of containment, offered a new treaty proposal. Every empire was reconsidering its view of Earth. The humans had become a symbol not only of potential, but of a force that could not be ignored. Daniel and Laura accepted meetings carefully, speaking with calm authority. They listened, negotiated, and guided. Humanity's message was clear. Peace was desired, but it would be protected. Any aggression would be met with immediate, decisive response. The galaxy had finally learned to respect the Terrans, not because of threats, but because the Terrans had demonstrated readiness and intelligence in their defense. Jason oversaw the fleets quietly. The ships remained alert, positioned strategically but not aggressive. The galaxy now knew that Earth had power, and that power was controlled, disciplined, and precise. Any species considering attack would understand the consequences before making a move. For the first time, humans were no longer simply guests. They had become a recognized force, respected and feared in equal measure. Daniel looked out at the stars from the observation deck, thinking of Earth and the generations who had built this moment. The patience, the preparation, and the restraint had all been worth it. Laura joined him, her voice soft. "We have changed the galaxy today. The Council and every species watching will not forget this lesson." Daniel nodded. "And they will not. Humanity has shown mercy but also strength. That is a combination the galaxy will remember for a long time." Jason joined them, looking at the distant stars. "The future is bright. We have peace and we have power. We have ensured that humanity will never again be underestimated." The Council now moved cautiously. They proposed new treaties, shared technology, and worked with humans to establish fair trade and alliances. The previous arrogance and underestimation were replaced by respect and careful consideration. Delegates who had once laughed now approached with humility, eager to maintain good relations. Far from the Council, across the galaxy, humans continued to expand quietly. Colonies were built with care, fleets remained prepared, and Earth maintained its central position. The Terran strategy was clear: grow responsibly, defend firmly, and maintain peace through strength. Daniel, Jason, and Laura met one final time in the observation room. The stars stretched endlessly before them. The galaxy had learned a vital lesson. Humanity was not weak, and patience did not mean submission. Daniel spoke softly. "We wanted peace, and now we have it. But we also have respect. The galaxy knows what humans are capable of, and they know the cost of aggression." Laura smiled. "We have shown wisdom, patience, and strength. That is a combination that will keep Earth safe and allow humanity to grow." Jason's voice was steady. The first contact was peaceful, yes, but humanity has also made its mark. The galaxy will never forget it. The stars remained still, silent witnesses to the moment. Humanity had stepped into the galaxy not only as a young civilization seeking friends, but as a strong, capable, and respected power. The Terrans had ensured that peace would last, backed by the strength and readiness to defend their own. As they looked out into the dark expanse, Daniel, Laura, and Jason knew that the galaxy had changed forever. Humanity had proven that kindness and strength could exist together, that patience and preparation could command respect, and that even a young civilization could rise to stand among the stars. The first contact had begun peacefully, but when the Terran fleets decloaked, the galaxy saw the true will of humanity, and from that moment no empire, no species, and no council could ever underestimate the children of Earth again.